Alright, buckle up buttercups, because we're about to dive headfirst into the kind of football story that makes Hollywood screenwriters look lazy. Imagine the biggest stage in club football, the Champions League final. Everyone's pumped, the atmosphere is electric. Liverpool, the plucky underdogs, are facing off against the footballing titans that are AC Milan. Think David versus Goliath, if David had just woken up from a nap and Goliath was already flexing. The whistle blows, hearts pound, and then, boom, before anyone's even settled into their seats, Milan decides to drop a bombshell. Talk about setting the tone for a dramatic evening, and not in a good way, for half the stadium at least. 1 minute. Not even 60 seconds had passed, folks. Paolo Maldini, the legendary Milan captain, a man who probably had being awesome etched into his DNA, finds himself unmarked from a free kick. He doesn't think twice. A volley, a deflection, and just like that, the net bulges. Liverpool's meticulously planned start? Absolutely pulverized. It's like turning up to a fancy dinner party and immediately spilling red wine on the host's pristine white carpet. Milan, with their star-studded lineup, just casually announced, "We're here, and we mean business." The sheer audacity of scoring so early against a team that's barely touched the ball is something else. Talk about a cold shower. So, Milan are 1-0 up, and for the next 38 minutes, they decide to give Liverpool a masterclass in how to play football like you own the place. They weren't just dominating, they were practically holding a tactical seminar on the pitch. Pirlo dictating play, Kaka gliding through midfield, Seedorf oozing class. It was a symphony of precision, control, and absolute elegance. Liverpool, bless their battling hearts, were chasing shadows, struggling to string 2 passes together. It was less a contest and more a graceful exhibition from the Italian giants. You could almost hear Milan's coaching staff sipping espresso, nodding approvingly. This wasn't just a lead, it was a statement. Liverpool's defense with a pass that belonged in an art gallery. Hernan Crespo, the clinical finisher, was there to tap it in. 2-0. The air went out of the stadium faster than a punctured football. It wasn't just another goal, it was a confirmation of Milan's superiority. It felt like the game was already slipping away, and the first half wasn't even over. Liverpool fans probably started muttering about next year already. And then, just 4 minutes later, at minute 44, Milan, line pass from Kaka, and Crespo, with a finish so audacious it bordered on disrespectful, chips the ball over Jerzy Dudek. 3-0. At this point, even the most optimistic Liverpool fan was probably checking the departure times for the next flight home. It wasn't just a lead, it was a 3-goal avalanche right before half-time. This wasn't just a defeat looming, it was a humiliation. Milan looked untouchable. The trophy was practically having its name engraved already. Unbelievable, right? The referee blows the whistle for half-time. The scoreboard proudly, or perhaps cruelly, flashes AC Milan 3, Liverpool 0. For Liverpool fans, it was a nightmare unfolding in real time. For Milan, it was a comfortable stroll, a perfectly executed plan. Players trudged off the pitch, some Liverpool heads hanging low, Milan's shoulders back, chests out. The pundits were already writing their headlines, Milan's coronation, Liverpool crushed. History was being written, but not the kind Liverpool wanted. It felt like the game was over, sealed, done. Little did anyone know, this wasn't the end of the story, it was just the end of the prologue. Oh, how wrong they were. Enter Rafa Benitez. While the world watched in despair, Rafa was probably sketching diagrams faster than a mad scientist in a lab. Legend has it, the Liverpool dressing room at halftime was a mix of shock, anger, and utter disbelief. But amidst the chaos, Benitez, with his calm demeanor and tactical brain, wasn't giving up. He made a crucial substitution, bringing on Didi Hamann for Steve Finnan. It was a move designed to add steel to the midfield, protect the defense, and allow Gerrard more freedom to push forward. It was a gamble, a desperate roll of the dice, but sometimes, desperate times call for tactical genius. And boy, did it pay off. The second half kicks off, and honestly, the mood was still pretty gloomy. Fans were probably just hoping Liverpool wouldn't concede another 5. But something was different. Liverpool came out with a newfound aggression, a ferocity that had been missing in the first 45 minutes. Maybe it was Rafa's halftime pep talk, maybe it was sheer pride, or maybe they just collectively decided they weren't going to be Milan's punching bag anymore. The energy shifted, ever so subtly at first. Milan still looked comfortable, but Liverpool were asking questions, pushing a little harder. The seeds of the impossible were being sown, right under Milan's noses. It was the calm before the storm. Minute 15 straight into the veins of every single Liverpool player and fan. The stadium flicker of hope in the vast darkness. Gerrard's celebration, urging the crowd on, told everyone, we're not done yet. And boy, was he right. The script was about to be rewritten. That Gerrard goal? It didn't just rattle the net, it rattled the very foundations of Milan's seemingly unshakable confidence. Suddenly, the Liverpool fans, who had been silenced for almost an hour, found their voice. It was the Anfield roar transplanted to Istanbul, a deafening wave of belief washing over the pitch. The players fed off it, growing an extra foot taller, finding an extra burst of energy. Milan, on the other hand, looked surprised. Maybe even a little unsettled. They'd been so dominant, so comfortable. This wasn't in the script. The psychological pendulum had begun its swing, ever so slightly, but definitely noticeable. Momentum, folks, is a cruel mistress. 2 minutes later. 2 minutes. Before Milan could even properly process Gerrard's goal, Vladimir Smicer, on his last game for Liverpool, decides to channel his inner rocket scientist. He unleashes a speculative, long-range shot from outside the box. It flies past Dida, who perhaps was still thinking about Gerrard's header, and into the net. 3-2. Utter pandemonium. The stadium exploded. Milan players looked at each other, bewildered, as if asking, did that just happen again? It was an absolute bolt from the blue, a moment of pure, unadulterated magic. Liverpool were no longer just hoping, they were believing. And so was everyone watching. The impossible was officially maybe possible. At 3-2, the air was thick with tension, confusion, and a growing sense of dread for AC Milan. They'd gone from cruise control to white-knuckle panic in a matter of minutes. Their usually composed midfield looked rattled, their defense seemed to lose its impenetrable aura. Ancelotti, Milan's legendary coach, must have been tearing his hair out. How could a 3-goal lead vanish so quickly? This wasn't just poor defending, it was a complete psychological melt, a distant memory. The miracle wasn't just a catchy phrase, it was genuinely unfolding. Still barely believing their eyes, the football world witnessed yet another unbelievable twist. Less than 4 minutes after Smicer's stunner, Gerrard is brought down in the box by Gennaro Gattuso. Penalty. Xabi Alonso steps up. The weight of the world, and possibly the entire universe, rests on his shoulders. He strikes it. Dida saves it. But wait. The rebound falls straight back to Alonso, who slams it home. 3-3. The comeback is complete. In 6 utterly insane minutes, Liverpool went from dead and buried to absolutely level. It was chaos, it was disbelief, it was pure, unadulterated footballing theatre. The roof of the Ataturk Stadium almost lifted off. 33, folks. Let that sink in. From 3-0 down at half-time, to 3-3 by the hour mark. This wasn't just a comeback, it was a footballing resurrection, a defy the odds, tear up the script, you wouldn't believe it if you weren't watching kind of event. Milan were in total shock, understandably so. Their impenetrable lead had evaporated faster than a politician's promise. The momentum wasn't just with Liverpool, it was practically wearing a red shirt and singing "You'll Never Walk Alone." Every pass, every tackle, every breath felt like it was charged with destiny. The miracle of Istanbul? It was no longer a whispered hope, it was a very loud, very real reality. With the scores level, the game completely changed complexion. Milan, shaken but still a team of champions, started to push back. They weren't going to let their lead, and the trophy, slip away without a fight. Shevchenko, Kaka, Crespo, they all looked to reignite their first-half magic. Chances were created, shots were fired, but something had shifted. The Liverpool defence, marshalled by Jamie Carragher, suddenly seemed impermeable. Every tackle was met with cheers, every clearance a victory. Milan's desperation grew, but Liverpool's resolve was even stronger. It was a heavyweight boxing match, but now Liverpool had found their second wind and Milan were on the ropes. It was his time to shine. After conceding 3 in the first half, many keepers might have crumbled. But not denying Milan time and time again. Shevchenko, in particular, must have been wondering what he had to do to score. Dudek was flying, diving, parrying, doing everything in his power to keep the scores level. It was a display of sheer grit and refusal to be beaten, a transformation from a first-half scapegoat to a second-half hero. He wasn't just a goalkeeper, he was a human wall. Every save amplified the roar of the Liverpool faithful. As the clock ticked down towards full time, Liverpool were absolutely exhausted, but they found something extra deep within themselves. This wasn't just about football anymore, it was about spirit, about heart, about an unbreakable will to win. They defended like their lives depended on it, throwing bodies in front of shots, clearing danger with desperate urgency. Milan kept probing, pushing, trying to find that one crack in the red wall, but it wouldn't break. Every single Liverpool player was a hero, from the defenders to the midfielders, all working together, united in their goal. It was a masterclass in resilient defense, fueled by an almost spiritual belief. The referee finally blows the whistle for the end of 90 minutes. The score remains 3-3. From the depths of despair, Liverpool had dragged themselves back into contention, proving that no matter how dire the situation, a game is never truly over until the final whistle. The stadium was a cacophony of noise, a mix of exhilaration and nervous anticipation. Milan looked utterly drained, not just physically, but emotionally. Liverpool, though tired, seemed to be running on pure adrenaline and the belief that anything was possible. Extra time loomed, and with it, another chapter in this already legendary night. You couldn't write this stuff. So, into extra time we go. 30 more minutes to separate these two gladiators. Both teams were visibly tired, but the stakes were higher than ever. Liverpool, having just completed the greatest comeback, had all the psychological momentum. Milan, on the other hand, had to shake off the trauma of letting a 3-goal lead slip. Who would crack first? Who would find that last ounce of energy, that moment of magic? It was a brutal test of endurance, skill, and sheer mental fortitude. Every pass, every run, every tackle was magnified. The tension was so thick, you could cut it with a butter knife. Or perhaps, a very dull spoon. They decided to perform one of the most iconic saves in Champions League history. Andriy Shevchenko, after a powerful header, sees it, and he smashes it. It looked a certain goal, a winner for Milan. But Dudek, with an almost inhuman reflex, somehow, miraculously, gets his hand up and pushes it over the bar. It was a double save that defied logic, physics, and probably even common sense. Milan couldn't believe it. Liverpool celebrated it like a goal. It was the moment everyone knew, this was destined for penalties. After 120 minutes of football, the scores remained locked at 3-3. The referee's whistle signaled the end of extra time, meaning the Champions League trophy would be decided by the most nerve-wracking, heart-stopping spectacle in football, a penalty shootout. Both sets of players gathered, exhaustion etched on their faces, but with a new kind of tension, a new kind of dread, settling in. This wasn't about open-play tactics anymore. This was a brutal test of nerve, mental strength, and a little bit of luck. The stage was set for a true hero, or, perhaps, a villain. Or maybe just a dancing goalkeeper. You never know. Before the first penalty was even taken, Liverpool's Jamie Carragher, ever the Scouser wit, went to Dudek and reminded him of Bruce Grobbelaar's spaghetti legs antics from the 1984 European Cup final. Dudek, a man known for his occasional eccentricities, decided to embrace it. He started weaving, wobbling, and dancing on his line, trying to put off the Milan penalty takers. It was pure psychological warfare, a brilliant piece of gamesmanship. Was it fair? Debatable. Was it effective? Absolutely. It was goofy, it was hilarious, and it was utterly distracting. Milan players, used to serene penalty situations, suddenly faced a disco inferno. First up for Milan, Serginho. A powerful left-back, normally composed. But Dudek's dancing, the sheer pressure of the moment, perhaps got to him. He blazes the ball over the bar. Not even close. A wild miss. The Liverpool end erupts. One down for Milan, and they haven't even registered a shot on target in the shootout. This was huge. It immediately gave Liverpool an advantage, a jolt of confidence, and plunged Milan further into despair. The spaghetti legs were working. Who knew dancing could be such an effective goalkeeping strategy? It certainly wasn't in any coaching manual I've ever seen. Next, Didi Hamann steps up for Liverpool. The man brought on at half-time to stabilize the midfield. Now, he's tasked with putting Liverpool ahead in the shootout. Cool as a cucumber, he places the ball. Bang! Scores. Liverpool take the lead. From being 3-0 down, they are now 1-0 up in the shootout, just one step closer to the impossible. Hamann, the unsung hero of the second half, delivers again. It's a testament to Benitez's tactical foresight and Hamann's immense composure. This wasn't just a penalty, it was a psychological blow to Milan, confirming that Liverpool truly meant business. The momentum was a runaway train, and it was wearing red. Passmaster, usually so clinical. But Dudek's legs are still doing their thing, wiggling and wobbling. Liverpool are now too. Psychological torment was palpable. Dudek wasn't just a hero anymore, he was a full-on legend in the making. What a night for a dance party. Djibril Cissé, another Liverpool substitute, steps up. The pressure is immense, but the crowd is roaring, the momentum is with them. He dispatches his penalty with confidence, slotting it past Dida. 3-0 to Liverpool in the shootout. It's almost over. Milan are in an absolutely impossible position. Cissé, a player who'd had a challenging season, now steps up and delivers a moment of pure class when it mattered most. The belief, the sheer audacity of Liverpool to pull this off, was breathtaking. One more save, one more miss, and it's all over. You could feel the tension, the raw emotion, dripping from the screen. Then, twice in open play, and now it was mano a mano. He places the ball, takes a deep breath, and strikes it. Dudek, still doing his spaghetti legs, dives to his left. And saves it. He parries the ball away. Liverpool are the champions of Europe. The explosion of noise, the ecstasy, the sheer, unadulterated joy was indescribable. What a moment to etch into footballing folklore. The stadium erupted. Liverpool players, coaches, and fans went absolutely wild. Pure pandemonium. Steven Gerrard, the inspirational captain, lifted the Champions League trophy, a sight that seemed utterly impossible just hours earlier. From 3-0 down, against one of the greatest club teams of all time, they had somehow, impossibly, clawed their way back and won the most prestigious trophy in club football. It wasn't just a victory, it was a seismic event, a testament to belief, resilience, and never, ever giving up. This was the Miracle of Istanbul, and it wasn't just a game, it was an emotional rollercoaster that captured the hearts of millions. What a night, indeed. So, what was the secret sauce? Rafa Benitez's tactical changes at half-time were absolutely crucial. Bringing on Didi Hamann solidified the midfield, allowing Steven Gerrard to push further forward and impact the game in attack. This simple switch transformed Liverpool from a team chasing shadows to one with purpose and structure. It allowed them to win the midfield battle, restrict Milan's playmakers, and create their own chances. It wasn't just about yelling louder, it was about smart, calculated decisions under immense pressure. Rafa didn't just inspire, he engineered the comeback. His chess moves were simply brilliant. Beyond tactics, the psychological momentum was a massive factor. Milan went into half-time feeling invincible, perhaps even a little complacent. Liverpool, on the other hand, had nothing to lose. Once Gerrard scored that first goal, a tiny seed of doubt was planted in Milan's mind, and a massive wave of belief surged through Liverpool. With each subsequent goal, that doubt grew into panic for Milan, while Liverpool's self-belief became an unstoppable force. It's a powerful lesson in sports: confidence is fleeting, and doubt can be a corrosive acid. The mind games, whether intentional or not, played a huge part in turning the tide. Every player around him. He refused to give up, demanded more from his teammates, and quite literally dragged Liverpool back into the game. He wasn't just a player, he was a force of nature, a captain who embodied the never-say-die spirit of the club. If you ever needed a textbook example of leadership in adversity, Gerrard's performance that night is it. Truly iconic. Shaky first half, conceding 3 goals, to becoming an absolute hero. His second half saves, especially that and then, the penalty shootout. The spaghetti legs antics will forever be etched in history. It was unconventional, it was cheeky, and it was devastatingly effective. He owned that penalty spot, psyching out some of the best players in the world. Dudek's redemption arc that night was so dramatic, you'd think it was written specifically for a movie. What a legend. Let's not forget the architect, Rafa Benitez. His halftime changes were not just brave, but visionary. To switch tactics so dramatically, to inspire a team that looked utterly defeated, and to execute a plan that completely out Benitez's calm, tactical brilliance, the Miracle of Istanbul might have remained just a hopeful dream. He truly was the mastermind behind the madness. So, why did this game change football history forever? It wasn't just a win, it redefined what impossible meant in football. It showed that no lead is safe, no team is unbeatable, and the human spirit, combined with tactical brilliance and sheer will, can overcome any obstacle. It became the benchmark for all comebacks, inspiring countless teams and players to never give up, no matter the score. It wasn't just a final, it was a demonstration of football's inherent drama, its unpredictability, and its capacity to create legends. Every time a team is 2-0 down, someone mentions Istanbul. That's its legacy. The Miracle of Istanbul also cemented the power of the underdog story. Liverpool, a team with immense history but perhaps not the star power of AC Milan that night, proved that heart, grit, and collective belief can triumph over individual brilliance and pedigree. It resonated deeply with fans around the world who love to see the little guy win. It's a narrative that transcends sport, touching on universal themes of perseverance and hope. This wasn't just Liverpool's story, it was a story for anyone who's ever faced overwhelming odds and dared to dream. And that, my friends, is why we love football. For Liverpool Football Club, Istanbul became more than just another trophy, it became a defining moment. It reinforced their identity, their famous Anfield spirit, and their connection with the fans. It's a story told to every new generation of supporters, a reminder of what the club stands for. That night didn't just win them a trophy, it etched their name into the very fabric of footballing legend, ensuring that "You'll Never Walk Alone" resonated with an even deeper, more powerful meaning. It was an epic, an odyssey, a testament to what makes this club so special. For AC Milan, it was a bitter pill to swallow, a lesson in humility. They were a magnificent team, full of legends, and they had played brilliantly for 45 minutes. But football is a cruel mistress, and their complacency, or perhaps just Liverpool's sheer will, cost them. It reminds us that even the greatest teams can fall, and that mental fortitude is just as important as technical skill. While it's a painful memory for them, it's also a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of the beautiful game. They learned that even with a 3-goal cushion, you never, ever, celebrate too early. Ouch! The Miracle of Istanbul wasn't just famous in England or Italy, it captured the imagination of football fans worldwide. Clips of Gerrard's goal, Dudek's saves, and the penalty shootout went viral before viral was even a term. It was a talking point for years, generating debates, inspiring documentaries, and becoming a touchstone for dramatic sporting events. It reminded everyone why they loved football: the sheer, unpredictable drama, the emotional highs and lows, and the incredible human stories that unfold on the pitch. It became a global phenomenon, and rightly so. This wasn't just a game, it was an experience. Even today, almost 2 decades later, the Miracle of Istanbul is still talked about with awe. It's not just a statistic in a history book, it's a living, breathing legend. It taught us that belief can move mountains, that passion can ignite performance, and that a game is never truly lost until the final whistle. It's a story of ultimate triumph against seemingly insurmountable odds, a reminder that the most compelling narratives often come from the most unexpected places. And for that, we'll forever be grateful to the Liverpool team of 2005. They didn't just win a trophy, they gave us a legend. A truly incredible tale. So, there you have it, folks. The minute-by-minute breakdown of the Miracle of Istanbul. From the despair of 3-0 down at half-time to the ecstatic chaos of lifting the Champions League trophy, this was a game that had absolutely everything. It's the ultimate never-say-never story, etched into the annals of football history. Whether you're a Liverpool fan, a Milan fan, or just someone who appreciates a ridiculously good comeback story, Istanbul 2005 will forever remain a benchmark. What a game! What a night! What a miracle! Did it change your view on comebacks? Let us know in the comments below.